Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbyist Man once again, and today we are doing our unhaul video. Today it's going to be the first unhaul of the year, and I want to do these every 3 months, every quarter, just so I can kind of clean out my collection as it's growing, right? And I usually didn't do this. I would either just sell off things or only make one big unhaul video a year in the last 2 years, or maybe I did 3 or 4 total. But this year, I want to be a little bit more structured about my manga collecting, and that includes pruning the collection, right? So I wanted to make a video about it because I want to also talk about, in a separate video, also want to talk about the way that I'm collecting so far, right? So I made a video at the beginning of the year that it was about my manga collecting goals, and I want to do updates for it also quarterly. And I think that if I'm already doing that, I might as well also make a video where I unhaul things to kind of make space for other things, right? So I don't really have too much to unhaul, and most of these are situational things. They're not necessarily that I dislike them. It's more just like there's either a better edition that I want, or there's a different edition in general, or I've heard things about future volumes and I don't really want to deal with that, right? So it's not necessarily that I disliked any series in this unhaul or that any of them are bad. It's just, for me personally, currently, it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to continue collecting them. I also just want to have a little bit of money that I can use towards other manga, specifically manga from Spain. And if I resell manga, I can use that same money into buying other manga. So I think it's a good kind of win-win for both myself and for the collection. I get to save a little bit of money, and I also get to make sure that my manga collection continues to grow in a healthy manner, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I want to talk about here, and I could have honestly gotten rid of more, but I decided that I didn't want to do that because I felt that if I forced myself to get rid of more things, I was going to get rid of things that I would actually regret getting rid of. And I don't think that I'll regret getting rid of any of the 6 volumes that I'm going to talk about here today. So in general, I don't really have an issue with getting rid of manga because generally I can always buy it again, right? So it's not really that big of a deal. But enough jibber jabber. Let's actually get into what I'm talking about here today. So let's start with the 2 light novels that I have in this pile. And the 2 light novels are volumes 1 and 2 of Space Mercenary. The whole title is Reborn as a Space Mercenary. It's written by Ryoko and illustrated by Tetsuhiro Nabeshima. And I really like this story. I actually really enjoyed it for a variety of reasons. One, it was a space isekai, which is awesome. There really haven't been many sci-fi isekai stories published in English, and this was basically the only one. There was a lot of other sci-fi light novels. Of course, there was 86, there was Slayers, there was Full Metal Panic. There's a few other ones, right? But this one was the first one that was also an isekai, and in general, I actually liked the plot line for both of these volumes. It felt really slow. It was mostly a slice of life more than a proper action series, but it was good. I enjoyed it. It was very interesting, and it actually reminded me a lot of Western harem-lit type stories. It reminded me of that kind of story, but also kind of like regular pulp, sci-fi. However, even though I enjoyed it, there was definitely some general issues with it. Maybe it was like a little bit too contrived, or maybe it was like the fact that, the way the female characters were treated, even though it wasn't bad, it wasn't really good either. But I heard some problems with Volume 3. Now, I haven't read Volume 3, I haven't even read the sample, but I heard the problem from a relatively reliable source, another manga tuber, and so I decided that, hey, maybe I should just not bother with the series. And honestly, maybe I should bother with the series. I should read the next volume and then make a decision for myself about whether or not I should continue. Basically, the issue with Volume 3 is that there's an actual underage character that, engages with the crew, and if she joins the crew, she basically is like a character that the male character can, do stuff with, adult stuff with, and that is concerning. Now, I don't generally ascribe to the idea that you should treat fictional characters the same way as real people because they're not real. However, there's a difference between a lolly character and then an actual kid that's a character, right? So, while I would normally not have an issue with this, I heard that the character was actually underage instead of like a lolly. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to deal with that. So I decided to get rid of the series. Overall, the series was good in these first 2 volumes. I just don't want to buy the third one, get eked out by it, and then have to sell it because it was bad. I'll just sell it before that point so that I don't feel like I lost something meaningful that I enjoyed, right? Because it turned out bad. It's kind of a stupid reason, but I just want to get rid of it before I manage to read the next volume and kind of actually want to get rid of it properly, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but there you go. That's the first one, Space Mercenary. I'm pretty disappointed about the fact, but you know, such is life. It's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. There will be more isekai science fiction light novels here soon. I think there's already some as well. So I'm just gonna have to wait and figure that out and find new ones. It's not that big of a deal for me overall. Now we're looking at Parasite Volume 1. Now I own this copy physically and digitally. This is a Loot Crate edition, and I'm only getting rid of it because even if I like it, I don't necessarily think that I want to read it physically, because I don't think I care that much about this series. Even if I do end up liking it, nothing about this has sounded like amazingly interesting to me. And maybe it is really good, but I can just get it digitally and continue to read it digitally. It's also way cheaper digitally because I just wait for a sale and then buy volumes at relatively cheap, like $2 or $3, as opposed to minimum $5 that physical editions cost if they're used, and maximum $12 if they're not used, right? So I think overall I'm just gonna get rid of this one because even if I like it, I don't really think that I'll really have a vested desire to collect the whole thing. And of course, since this is a relatively popular series, I can easily just go and buy it again later on. But currently I don't want to collect it, and so there's no point in doing that, because even if I like it, when I read it in May, I won't buy it physically for a while because I have other things that I want to collect more than that, right? So even if I like it, I'm not going to buy it anytime soon, so there's no point in holding on to this volume currently. So there's that reason for that one. I don't know anything about the series. It's basically, as far as I can tell, like a Venom symbiote joins a human, but it like takes over the human because the human is too weak or something like that, and now they have to kill other symbiote kind of characters before they kind of destroy the world. And that's as much as I know about it, but that might have all been wrong. I don't know. And then we're looking at Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. No, I actually like the series a lot, but I bought this, and then 3 days later I bought more digital editions of the volume. So I've managed to collect Nagatoro 1 through 6 digitally on Bookwalker for the price of 2 physical volumes. So Nagatoro is only 9 volumes in, 10 volumes in right now. If I just wait a little bit for another sale, I can just get the rest of those volumes digitally and keep them digitally instead of having to wait, however long it takes me to pick up the rest of these physical volumes, because they cost $13 and they're really not that great. I mean, like any other 7 Seas title. Well, this one is vertical title, but there's a lot of 7 Seas titles that cost the same as this that I'm willing to buy, even if they're as skinny as this. But I don't buy any of those digitally. I already have 6 of these digitally. So I feel like I can justify it for the other ones because I don't own them at all. I can't justify it with Nagatoro because I do own over half of the series already in a format that's significantly easier to buy. So I love this. I really enjoy the story once it gets past the 3rd volume, because past the 3rd volume, it actually kind of becomes more of a romance and less of I'm going to bully you horribly, but you're going to like it kind of situation. So I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't need to buy it physically anymore. Even though I was going to do so, I managed to buy more of it faster and cheaper digitally, so there's no point in me having it physically anymore, right? Although I'll double dip for some things, Nagatoro is not one of them, especially not after I have invested so much into the digital version of the series. I mean, it costs less than 2 volumes of the physical, but I'm significantly further in, so it's just easier to just get rid of the physical edition and continue with the digital. But then we have 2 more volumes here, and then we're done here. So, Dragon Goes House Hunting. I really enjoyed it, but it's a very kind of non-standard slice of life in a fantasy world that I liked, but I also don't think I'm going to continue reading ever, like, at all. It was cute, it was enjoyable, it was fun, but it's also not something that I really have a vested interest in. So there's no point in keeping it. I was just keeping it around in case I decided to get more of it, but it's been over 6 months and I haven't, so there's no point in keeping it because I obviously won't buy more of it anytime soon. So there you go. I also got this on sale at Books A Million for like $4, and I'm never going to get that sort of price again. So I very much doubt that I ever continue to collect this, since this is $13 for a regular price volume. So yeah, that's Dragon Goes House Hunting. I don't really have a deep reason for that one. And this last one here is Ryoko. Now, I don't remember if I ever did a first impressions review of Ryoko, and it's actually a really good series. It's a hard case crime by Titan Books, who are recently announced that they were going to be releasing Afro Samurai. And Titan Books, Titan Comics, does pretty great releases. They even have a box set for Ryoko, which covers both of the volumes. But I think it's slightly cheaper than buying them separately. And also, it comes with like a few extras. So if I ever want to buy this again, I'll just buy the box set. Instead of having to scour the internet for a used volume of book 2, so that I don't feel like, I wasted money, right? So, even though I really liked Ryoko, which is about this girl who happens to realize that her mother was killed, or her mother's past comes to light, and she is like a Yakuza girl, and she has to fight some people. And then she goes back to Japan to kind of deal with the past of her mother that has arisen. And I don't know what happens after that, because that's where the volume ends. But it's good. I like the art style a lot. It's very messy, but very attractive. It looks great. But even though I liked it, I don't think I'll ever find volume 2 used. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And when I get the urge to finish reading the story, I'll just buy the box set, wherever it is that I find it, either in stock trades or at Barnes & Noble or wherever it is that I get it. And it'll be slightly cheaper than buying both of them new, but maybe slightly more expensive than waiting for the used volume 2, which I'll probably never find, because I only found this by luck. Like, it had never crossed my mind to buy the series. And then one day I was at my local used bookstore near my parents' house, and I found it and I picked it up and I liked it. But I don't necessarily think that I'm going to get that kind of situation ever again. So I'm just going to get rid of it, because I don't really want to collect it right now. So there you go. That's Ryoko. Now, that's all there is to it. Again, all of my reasons probably sound convoluted as fuck. And I realize that. I'm sorry. I'm not good at explaining my inner thoughts that well. I mean, especially because I just did this off the top of my head. I didn't write it down beforehand. And so I couldn't synthesize it. But basically, in case you wanted a TLDR, all of these are series I enjoyed or I haven't read. I only didn't read Parasite. All the other ones I have read and I enjoyed. But I also just, either for 2 possible reasons, I just feel that I won't really want to collect more of them anytime soon. In the case of Nagatoro, Ryoko, and Dragon Goes House Hunting, even though I like them, either I want a different edition, in the case of Nagatoro, the digital edition, or in the other 2 cases, Ryoko and Dragon Goes House Hunting, I don't want to collect it right now, or maybe ever in the specific case of Dragon Goes House Hunting. And when it comes to the 2 light novels that I talked about earlier, the 2 volumes of Space Mercenary, I was really excited about the series. I really enjoyed the series, but there's some possible actual problems with the 3rd volume that I don't really want to try to find out what they are, more than I already know, which is that there's this underage character that joins this crew of people that fuck all the time. And so I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to get rid of the series beforehand and just see, what happens after that. If I ever decide to collect the series again, I'll collect it again, and that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And honestly, all of these were pushed to be unhauled because I wanted to buy other manga, and I couldn't really justify keeping these long term any more than I already have, which is about 6 months for the oldest one and about 4 months for the youngest one, or for the one that I've had the least. So I just wanted to get rid of them and get money to use for other things. So yeah, that's it for this Unhaul video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys didn't mind dealing with my fucking convoluted ass reasons for this video. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. What have you guys wanted to unhaul recently? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys so much. See you guys later.